Well, good afternoon. Andrew here with South Appalachian weather. About 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday when I'm recording this. Another briefing. We've got winter weather on the way over the next couple of days and actually stretching on into the weekend. But right now we're just going to focus on Wednesday night into Thursday morning and a cold weather system as well as a possibility of snow that we're looking at for our region. Taking a look at the graphics and the maps. As usual, we'll start with the surface analysis where the fronts are now and moving on through. This actually a loop of what we're looking at. As you can see, we've got a low pressure system centered over the Great Lakes that'll be moving northward. Very complicated system once again, and that'll be dragging a cold front across our region. Now, we will be dealing with some gusty winds on the backside of the front, but the main thing to notice first off is that cold rain transitioning to snow as the front passes, and that'll be happening again Wednesday or tomorrow night, moving into Thursday morning. Now, as that occurs, bear in mind what we've already been dealing with across the region here over the last several days. We've been looking at temperatures dropping well below freezing overnight across most of the region, down into the 20s and even the upper teens, depending on where you've been at and what your elevation is. And then even in the afternoons, right now, looking down, I've got 45 degrees out my window right now at 3 p.m., and we are expected to drop below freezing once again tonight. All of that to say, the ground is frozen very solid in most spots. It's been thawing in some places, but not everywhere. We'll get to the details of that in a second, but just bear that in mind with this system. Typically, early in the season, when the ground's a little warmer, when we have snow, it won't necessarily stick or it'll be difficult for it to. In this type of situation, we will have a better chance of seeing the snow stick once it transitions from rain. The big question is when and where will that occur? And for that, now jumping to the models, the weather models. This is one of the first times we've had a chance to do this in one of the briefings. And this is a look at several different weather models and their total snow outputs. So this isn't like a linear look at a loop of a model or a radar loop like we looked at before. This is actually an output of a whole bunch of different opinions from different types of computer models as far as the total amount of snow we could possibly see. The reason I want you to look at this is because there's a lot of variability. And this is typical for our region, especially this time of year. But in particular, two things to note. Number one, some are showing absolutely nothing. Some are showing 1 inch to 2 inches. And more importantly, there's not a signal of a tremendous amount of snow. We're talking inches upon inches or even feet of snow in our local area, like you're seeing from some of the lake effect snow up to our north, up in Indiana and Ohio and some of those. So those are really the two big takeaways. Number one, a lot of variability. And usually when there's a lot of variability like this, that means there's less confidence in the forecast. And then also two, we're not really seeing a big signal of a lot of moisture coming through with this system, especially after the rainfall or after that transition to freezing, I should say. So because of that, we're not looking at just this ridiculous amount of snow that'll be paralyzing to our region. Nothing like that. So now, with all of that said, let's look at the Weather Service forecast for our region, again, as of this afternoon. The total snowfall amounts, if you look closely, you'll actually see a good portion of Cherokee, Clay, and Towns counties, as well as most of Gilmer County, they're showing actually nothing. Now, again, this will be updated as we go through the next couple of days, so don't hold them or me to this exact forecast. But the details really are showing some areas are going to get some snow, other areas it may not stick much, if at all. The areas that it will be sticking will be the higher elevations. So overall, for snowfall amounts, as of the latest information when I'm putting this briefing together, in the valley locations, we're looking at up to about 1 inch of snow accumulating and no snow in some spots. So it's going to very much depend on where you are, exact ground temperatures, things like that. But there's a caveat, and we'll get to that in a second. Above 3,500 feet, so we're talking Brasstown Bald in Union and Towns counties. We're talking about up the far north end of Hangandog, Bass Dockery's area, up along the Tennessee line in northern Cherokee County, as well as some of the areas in Clay County. Thinking about the far north end of Tusquity, as well as over around Boteller Peak and the far eastern end of Clay County And then, of course, again, the main ridge of the Appalachians along the southern end of Towns, Union, Fannin, and down into southern Gilmer counties as well. That's where we're talking about when we say that above 3,500 feet. Those areas could see up to 2 inches. Again, some areas may not get much. There may be more, again, near the Tennessee line and in a few particularly high spots. Again, a lot of variability here. But overall, widespread, up to 1 inch, none in spots in the valleys, and above 3,500 feet, we're looking at up to 2+ inches, depending on exactly what's going on. Now, I mentioned a caveat with the valleys, and this is where you really need to be aware of what's going on and bear in mind what you may have already experienced in years past. Because with the cold ground, the shaded areas and the north-facing slopes are really where we might see more snow accumulating. So, for some examples, in Cherokee County, for example, Brady's Curve up near Topton, that I would honestly expect to see some type of accumulation in that vicinity. Another one in Clay County, covering our North Carolina counties well, because that's where we'll be looking at a greater potential. Cold Branch Road, going out towards Tusquity, would be another good example of those shaded areas, a lot of north-facing slopes, areas like that. Rainbow Springs, another one, eastern Clay County, as well as down across Union, Towns, Fannin counties, especially bridges that are in shaded spots. That's where we're going to really be seeing this possibility of some accumulating snow. So, with all of that information, all of this discussion and looking at all of this, what kind of impacts are we really truly looking at? And this is something new. I'm starting with a briefing. So definitely let me know if you like this kind of format and this bullet point look. First off, with power, with energy, with electricity, really looking at limited impacts. Typically, you need to see more snow accumulation or a possibility of ice accumulation before we see more than just isolated outages here and there. As far as agriculture and then also pets, one thing I would say, keep an eye on younger livestock. We've got a lot of calves this time of year, and given we're going to have a cold rain and then a deep freeze with wind chills dropping down into single digits, even going into Thursday morning, keep an eye on the younger livestock and any that might be susceptible. Maybe make sure they've got some shelter. Same thing with pets. Make sure they've got a lot of fluffed up bedding, clean bedding. And then also bear in mind, as we go through the next few days, keeping water clear of ice. Because after we head through Thursday, we're going to struggle to get above freezing for a couple of days. So make sure that livestock and pets do have drinking water that's clear of ice if they are outside. As far as recreation, if you're going to be out, dress warmly. We're going to be looking at, again, those wind chill values dropping into single digits behind this front after the snow ends. So keep an eye out for frostbite. Definitely dress warmly if you are going to be out doing any kind of recreational activities. And then as far as travel, we're looking at really the biggest impact will be that Thursday morning commute. So bear that in mind, maybe plan for some extra time, check local conditions and see what the road conditions are like before you head out. Now, that wraps up as far as Wednesday into Thursday. Looking a little further ahead, we do have a possibility of seeing some freezing rain as we head into Saturday and Sunday, but the details on that are a little fuzzy, so we may be doing another briefing as we get a little closer to that to look into those details. Also bear in mind that I'd say likelihood at this point of at least brutally cold wind chills down into single digits across most of the region as, again, we head through Wednesday night through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday. We're going to have periods of very, very cold temperatures, so bear that in mind. A lot of details, a lot to get through. My one piece of advice, though, if you are going to prep for this a little bit, don't worry about the milk and bread. We're going to be all right. This is not a blizzard of 93 type situation. Nothing like that at all. But having a little bit of extra supplies on hand, not a bad thing. Just maybe make sure there's more on the menu than just milk and bread. With that, we'll end this briefing. But again, keep an eye out. Be careful out there. Stay warm. Stay safe. And just keep an eye to what's going to be happening here over the next couple of days.